Hi guys, it's Ashley from Ashley's Paper Heart, and today we are going to be doing another journal spread in my junk journal, and this is actually a spread for Junk Journal July. I believe it was day 5, and the prompt was vintage. So for me, I love vintage items. That is kind of like my bread and butter. I love replicas of vintage items. I love authentic vintage items. I just love the whole like vintage aesthetic. There's just that's just the way it is. So for this one specifically, I was trying to use a lot of my actual vintage items that I had been kind of hoarding. And I don't know about you, but when I know that something is one of a kind and it's really hard for me to use it up, something that I have been doing to try to help combat that is that I will do scans of the item so that I can make printables for myself and use those later on. Sometimes I may just go ahead and keep the authentic vintage item and then just use the scans, and sometimes I just feel like the freedom of actually using the vintage piece. So for this one, I'm making a tag out of this desk check. I believe I got some of these items from Cassie from Dust to Roses with some of her Patreon rewards. I really enjoy her Patreon rewards, and she sends some really beautiful items every month at the tier that I'm at. Um, so yeah, I was definitely trying to use those. And later on, I'm pulling some other things from my stash that I had been holding on to for quite a while, and definitely like trying to get them out and used. So now I'm kind of digging through one of my small paper trays. I have so many like containers of different paper scraps. It's not even funny. You would probably laugh if you saw my workspace and how many like just containers I have with, paper that I've kind of organized. I'm using air quotes here because let's be real, it's not organized. So for these like little trays that I have on my desk, my husband actually 3D printed some small trays for me, so that's what you're seeing there. And I put a lot of like my small bits of ephemera, like ticket stubs and just little pieces of paper and stamps and things like that. Stuff that I know if I put in a larger container, it'll just get lost and I won't be able to find it. So that's in hopes of me to try to actually use what I have, especially the smaller bits. So I actually took that tag and I did a border with some sewing, and that was to help keep the pieces on there, in addition to like securing the lace that I have on there as well. So speaking of sewing, I really need to take my sewing machine in to get serviced. This is your friendly reminder that if you do a lot of sewing, especially with the paper, that you take your sewing machine to a dealer to get serviced at least, one every 1 to 2 years. I have been really bad, and it's probably been 3 years since I've had my sewing machine serviced, so she definitely needs a spa day. And that is just to, they do, cleaning because like all the fibers and stuff, whether you're sewing fabric or paper, can get down into the machine. You are supposed to clean, like the bobbin tray and stuff like that. So here's another reminder to clean your sewing machine. And not only that, but they do, oil the parts in there so that everything continues to run smoothly. So protect your investment, take your sewing machine and get it serviced, every year or two. Don't be like me. So now I am digging through yet another box. This is actually one of those like little clear plastic photo boxes. I think I got it from Michael's. I have it filled up with a bunch of like things that I've cut out from books and other places, some other like die cut pieces of paper and whatnot. And this was all in hopes of using up some of my vintage objects that I have been holding on to for quite a while, like this image of some doves. I had been holding on to that for a long time, and I believe it must have been a part of a card or something. I know a pen pal had sent it to me quite a while ago, and I just really loved it. I just never knew exactly where to put it, so I decided to put it here. And these are also some flowers that were fussy cut from a pen pal that were, you know, really meticulously fussy cut, and I was like so thankful. And they're very delicate. The paper on it is obviously very old. So I've been really like struggling to figure out like where I was going to use that. So as you can see, I am kind of not having the best time trying to figure out where to put things. Nothing was really laying right. I had some elements that I had originally wanted to use, and it's just I tried over and over again to make them work, and sometimes you just have to kind of go off your original plan. Sometimes the original plan just doesn't work out, and it's okay to try some different things that will actually work. So here I am kind of like laying out some of the rest of the little pieces of ephemera that I had. I really wanted to use that mailing label on here, and I don't think I ended up using it. That was initially kind of like what the main piece I wanted to use on the spread, and after like trying over and over again, it just was not working. So I definitely went a different route. I used the little vocabulary card and the ticket and a few other bits of paper. But I also didn't want to cover up completely the turtles on the left side. I thought that print on the paper was just so pretty that I definitely wanted to keep some of it peeking through. That's something that I struggle with in my junk journals, especially if the paper has a really beautiful pattern on it. I struggle with, do I cover it up? Do I leave it so that it's more of a focal point? It's really tough because sometimes I feel like the need to just like glue a bunch of stuff down, but I forget that the negative space can really tell a story of its own and really make a page. Like, you don't have to glue every piece of ephemera that you have down on the page. So that is something that I am definitely working towards getting better at. I definitely need to know like when enough is enough on a page, because honestly I could just add things forever. So something that I used on this page that I don't normally use in my journal is that I used a actual vintage photo of a person. I typically, when I'm looking for vintage photos to use in my junk journals, I typically kind of steer clear of photos of people unless they're like really old, like early 1900s kind of thing. But for this one, I don't know. It's just something about this girl really like spoke to me, so I wanted to include that. And I thought it turned out pretty good. I thought it worked well on the page. It always feels weird to me, like to use photos of people that I don't know in my journals. It's just, I don't know, something weird. However, I do love using photos of architecture or landscapes. Those are always really something that seems special to me and really like draw my eye. And now we are getting towards the end of the video, so I just want to say thank you so much for coming here and hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed watching my process. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will also have my other social medias linked down in the description below if you want to check me out on Instagram or Twitch. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.